Last year, iHub was privileged to be visited by the amazing peeps at MIT Media Lab. We were able to go all the way to Tsavo to just check out what the guys at Wildlife Works are doing. Wildlife Works basically man the migration corridor between Tsavo East and Tsavo West. One of the challenges that we threw at ourselves is basically how can we use technology to make their work easier and improve just how things happen in the conservation space. And the easy win that we saw at that point in time was just automating their data collection process. About 3 months ago, we paid a visit to Wildlife Works after having worked on the initial version of the application for 2 months with the aim of getting initial feedback from the rangers on the app that we had in mind. We didn't straight away show them the application. Instead, we sat down with them, talked about what they do. They basically took us to the life of a ranger on a day-to-day basis, the different things that they do. And then at the end of it all, we actually showed them what we had done. They were pleasantly surprised. Of course, they were skeptical. Quite a number of things were missing. We had made so many assumptions, and it's okay because we really don't work in that environment, and it was our first shot before we actually go out in the field. So we were able to hold several brainstorming sessions, sketched quite a number of things on paper, and they had quite a lot of feedback on how we could actually improve it and make it better and make it work for them. When we came back, we then sat down as a team, did a few more brainstorming sessions, did more sketching on paper. It's really easy to get things moving if you just quickly sketch them on paper on a board, rub things here, move things around. It just makes the process easier. Then we now did mockups, which gives it a more visual presentation to it, some sort of color. And then the last step was now moving that to an actual app. Before we went back to the field, we did some local tests. So we looked for, I would say, users who are not as tech savvy as us, and then requested them to use the app for some time. We did 2 weeks just to get them to do some reporting so that we can see the ease and the things that don't work and the things that work. And once we are comfortable enough, we then plan this trip so that we can now get the improved application in front of the rangers, and we could also look at the other part of the process. It's mainly two ways. There are the data collectors. These are the rangers, the guys who actually go out there and collect information. And on this other side, we have the researchers who make sense of that information. So for this trip, our main aim was to now bring the two pieces together. We were able to spend some considerable time with Dr. Mwangi. He heads the research arm at Wildlife Works. We went through the different things. He highlighted a couple of things that we still needed to work on, but generally he was happy with the direction that we are going on, and he could actually see where everything was going to. Then we now set time to spend with the rangers, and for this particular field trip, we didn't spend much time talking. We just dived in straight. We gave them the application. We had a couple of phones for testing purposes. We just did a small walkthrough just to get a feel of the things that have changed. And then we now went out on a short game drive. Because our approach is a human-centered approach, we really let them do it and observe. We also had a chance to do a foot patrol. It can be pretty frightening considering in the bush, but because there was us, we were able to do a foot patrol for around 30 minutes inside the park so that you're actually exposed to the real life conditions and the environments that they work in. Working back in Nairobi, you're inside an air-conditioned space. You're not in direct sunlight. You're seated, you're not walking. So imagine a ranger out there in the field. It finally came together for them. They actually told us they see how it would make their work easier, how simple it is and how useful it is. The fact that it's going to be a shorter process to collect and send this information. And they are also excited just to see the rugged phones and just to see it's not just technology, it's actually doing something for their own benefit. We're going to work on those items that were identified by the users. It's really, really good that they were identified by the users, because it's going to help in terms of acceptance, because they feel they were really part of the process. Once we do that, we're also going to work on identifying hardware that is needed to do a launch. So mainly at this point, it's more to do with getting a few devices for our soft launch, a few phones. Then once we have that in place, we'll go back, do a soft launch, and then monitor it for between 4 to 6 weeks. And if everything is okay, we can now do the full launch and then get them to really move to that platform. You will always get feedback anytime you go out to the field. That's why we always encourage our teams to get out of the field really soon, because the real users are out there in the field.